Have you ever wondered why you feel so drawn to learn a new language? It's not for the exams, it's not for business, not just because someone told you to learn it, but because something inside you just knows. There is a desire that is deeper than for traveling purpose or to build up your vocabulary. It's connected to the emotional history that's carried in your first language. When we grow up in our mother tongue, every word we learn in our mother tongue gets tied to emotions. It's either been joy, comfort, fear, or shame. Our native language becomes layered with our past. So when we speak it, we're not just speaking about words. We are reliving the feelings that's been attached to each of them. But when you learn a new language, especially one that's very different from your own, there's something incredible happens. You get a new space, a clean space, a space where there's nothing has been pre-labeled with their old memories yet. Let me give you an example. When as a Chinese, I speak about the word "xin" in Chinese, it has weight. It has this cultural taboo, shame, and expectations. However, when I speak the translation word sex in English, it feels neutral, free, and allowed. The idea is the same, but the emotional world around it is completely different when I say it in my second language, English. So, learning a new language gives you the permission to re-explain your experiences without to carry on the emotional residue of the past. This is not just communication. This is what I call healing. When you speak a new language, your authenticity is able to through. When I try to speak Thai, I have the little word to hide behind because I don't have the skill yet to decorate my sentences or make them sound polite or correct. I have to rely on a pure intention that I want to make this thing happen with the limited vocabulary I have. So even if the grammar is wrong, even if the sentence is so simple, the message that comes from it is from a very honest place here, because I'm trying with all my heart to express something that feels true to me, and the effort itself is pure. There's no performance, there's no pretend, there's no mask I was wearing. This is what authenticity feels like. When we are trying to speak in our first language, we already know how to protect ourselves with the words. We know how to soften our honesty so it's more acceptable to others. We know how to avoid saying the thing that's real. We know how to speak in ways that makes others feel comfortable, even though when we feel it's not true to ourselves. But in a new language, you cannot do that anymore. You are forced to be present. You are forced to mean what you say. And because every word takes an effort from you, every sentence requires the pure intentions coming from here. And this is why learning Mandarin or any other new language can become a quiet form of returning to your true self. It's not through theory, not through finding yourself, but through day-to-day, everyday moments when you try simply and sincerely to express what you really mean. There is something very human in that, something soft, something very real when you speak a new language. Learning a new language can also help you rewrite your personal world. As you learn more words in a new language, you begin to create this new inner world. The physical world around you stays the same. For example, the tree is still there, the sky is still there, the feeling of home still exists in this new world. But the emotional meaning attached to each of them begins to shift. Because now, when you call a tree 树, or the sky 天空, or your home 家, you are speaking from a new emotional space. This is a space that has not yet been shaped by your past. And here is where your power lies. In this new language, you get to choose how much of your past you want to carry forward in this new inner world. You can bring the parts of yourself that feels true from the old world into the new world, and you can leave behind the weight you no longer want to hold. It could be the fear, the guilt, the shame, or the patterns that were formed before you even know you have the chance to choose. Let me know in the comments, have you ever spoken a word in your second language and realized it carried a different feeling than your first language? What's that word or that moment? I would love to hear your experience. Now, this is choice that you decide to what to bring from the old world into new world is what makes the new world powerful. Because in this new inner world, there's been shaped by the new language. You are given the chance to re-explain your story, to speak about your past in a way that's more gentler, wiser, and more grounded. Because you choose to how to tell it now, to build a version of yourself that's more aligned with who you are at this moment. So over time, the you who speaks Mandarin or another new language becomes different than the you who speaks your mother language. This time, you can be more aware, more intentional, and more emotionally clear. You can be more of yourself. And without forcing anything, this new self becomes to move back into your original language. Your old world slowly starts to change as well because you have changed. This is how learning a new language becomes a form of self-reinvention, not by escaping who you are, not by paying thousands of dollars on a therapist, but by keep choosing who you will be. In your first language, all your informations, your stories, your education, your emotions, your family conversations, and your culture all come from one source. And this is a one emotional environment, one world view from your mother language. So naturally, your understanding of life was all shaped inside the single language world. But when you learn a new language and you begin to actually use it, you open yourself to a second source of reality. Now you are listening to how locals speak in their daily life, that humor that only makes sense in this new language, and words that people use to comfort each other. The emotions are being expressed and flow through the group and family dynamics indirectly or directly. And what local people in this country really care about, what's their fear, what's their desire, what's they're excited about. This new language becomes a new lenses through which you can see the world in a new different perspective. So now, instead of having only one emotional perspective that's shaped by your mother language, you have two. Your original world is still there, familiar, no, filled with memory, but alongside with it, there's a new world being created word by word, sentence by sentence, where you choose the emotional meaning, the tone, the narrative, and the pacing and the perspective. Because you are not living through two languages, you begin to notice there's more than one way to speak, there's more than one way to understand. This is where emotional maturity really begins, when you can hold more than one lenses inside yourself without losing who you are. Learning a new language doesn't just give you the new words, it's giving you a second way to experience life. I want to share my own story. I didn't actually use English as a second language until I went abroad at the age of 22. And that moment has changed my life. When I moved to the UK to study, I have to relearn everything. It's not just about the language, it's about a whole system of life. How I take bus, how I speak to the post officer, how I shop in the supermarket where everything sold there is completely different than what I can purchase in Chinese supermarket. And I have to relearn how to communicate with teachers and professors, with classmates and strangers. And in this new world, English was the only bridge I have. On top of studying, I was thrown into a real situations where I had to stand up for myself. I remember needing to talking to my landlord about rent in English. I had to fight for my rights in a language that I was not yet fluent in. I couldn't hide. I had to speak. I have to try. And this is where everything has changed for me. In China, I was shy. I was quiet. I was always afraid of conflicts. I grew up swallowing my voice. I learned to be small, to shrink into other people's perspective. But in English, I didn't have those habits yet. I didn't have the old emotional patterns attached to those words. So I learned to speak differently. I learned to express myself directly. I learned to say what I really meant. I became stronger in English before I knew how to be strong in Chinese. Through everyday struggles, asking for help, clarifying misunderstandings, defending myself, advocating for others. Step by step, I built a new part of my personality through this English world. And there's something even more important happened. When my friends asked me about my childhood, about my family, about my past, I realized I didn't have to tell the exact same old story anymore. The story where I used to be the only victim, the story where everything just happened for no reason and I am the only one that was suffering. Speaking in English gave me a second chance to describe my life. This time, I could take responsibility. I could be more mature. I could choose a narrative that's grounded and real. So when I say that a new language can create a new world, I'm not speaking theoretically. I lived it. Learning English didn't just change how I speak, it changed who I am. If you don't know who I am now, I'm Helen. I'm your best Mandarin teacher on the YouTube channel. Remember to follow me so you will know learning Mandarin can change your life too. If this resonates with you, stay close. In my channel, I am not just going to teach you Mandarin, but I am going to help you to build this new world where you can express yourself more authentically. We are not just learning a new language, we are learning to speak our lives in a new voice, a voice that's more honest, more spacious, more free. So, if you want to continue growing in this way, you are very welcomed here. Subscribe, not because you are supposed to, but because something in you feels it's time. Remember to like, share this video to your friends who is learning a new language too. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.